例えば今度の場合なんかだとおしまいにシーンになるなと思ってちょっと興味持ってでおばあちゃん助けろってあそこのシーンはなかなかいいな。このとこは
Oh, that was weird. Ah, Akira Kurosawa week. Should have known. Alright, what am I going to do for this week's video? Of course. I'm going to watch Seven Samurai. One of the greatest films of all time. Awesome. Good God Almighty, who the hell are you?
I am Toshiro Mifune!
Right, you're Toshiro Mifune, popular Japanese actor who's been dead for many decades now and frequently collaborated with Akira Kurosawa. That's who you are, no kidding.
You must watch Akira!
Yeah, right, I get it. I must watch Akira Kurosawa movies. We've done these kind of skits before. I mean, really? Is this the best you could come up with? Of course I'm going to watch some Akira Kurosawa movies. I love Akira Kurosawa. I was about to watch Seven Samurai before you rudely interrupted, but the disc is missing from my steelbook, so once I find that, I'm going to watch some.
No! No, Seven Samurai! You will watch early Kurosawa films!
Wait a minute. You took it, didn't you?
You mean this?
Yes, that Blu-ray, it's mine. Give it back. Wait, don't. No. God. Why? Oh, anything but the Blu-ray. Fine. I'll watch his early films. God damn you, Toshiro Mifune. God damn you. Hello, welcome back to the Blu-ray Brothers channel. I'm Luke and it is Akira Kurosawa week. I'm so excited about this. He's one of my all-time favorite directors, maybe even my favorite director of all time, so I'm really excited to be doing this week. It's a lot of fun and I hope you enjoyed the video we put up yesterday, which was the Seven Samurai Blu-ray Brothers special with me and Ryan talking about the film, our first experiences watching it, and loads of archival clips of all three of our channels, me, Robbie and Ryan, opening, the film, unboxing it, and getting the Criterion for the first time, and just, talking about it for the first time on our channels throughout the year. So that was a really fun video to put together, and some nice clips in there. But today is the first real review, and I'm going to be talking about not one, but 4 Akira Kurosawa films. I wanted to do like 5 or 10 of his films. I wanted to do it chronologically from his first film onwards, but I only managed to get 4 done. But I think that's enough to talk about, and I have a lot to say about all 4 of them. I'll try and be as succinct as possible though, because I don't want to ramble on and make this video too long. So the first film I'm going to talk about is from 1943, Sanshiro Sugata, or the Japanese title Sugata Sanshiro, because as far as I'm aware, their first names and last names as presented to the Western audience is the other way around in their native language, as far as I'm aware. So you get Toshiro Mifune would be Mifune Toshiro, I'm guessing. But Sanshiro Sugata is a film about a guy called Sanshiro Sugata. Now the translation of the title is Judo Saga, but I know for a fact that it's the main character's name. His name's Sanshiro Sugata. They sing songs about him, and you know, you can hear the Japanese saying that when they call him by his name. Now, he's a man who's kind of got a lot of strength, and he's got a lot of potential in martial arts, but he doesn't know how to harness it. And so he's trying to figure out, you know, where he can go to learn the craft of judo. And he ends up meeting this kind of wise man who kind of takes out a group of these guys in this awesome scene at the beginning where he's just throwing them into the dock. And you know, Sugata's looking at him and he's, you know, can you teach me? So the master agrees to teach him, and in one of the best scenes of the film, Sugata says, okay, I'll take you, because the master kind of guy is in this kind of a rickshaw, I guess you could call it. So Sugata offers to, you know, pick up the rickshaw and take him off. And in some kind of symbolic kind of gesture, before he does that, before he, you know, carries off his new master, he takes off his sandals and leaves them in the road. And as he leaves, the camera focuses on the sandals. And then we see the sandals somewhere else, and now it's raining. And then we see them hanging off of a gate, and now it's snowing. And then we see a dog playing with it, and it's kind of sunny. And then we see it floating down a stream, and then a camera pans up from that stream into kind of, you can see in the distance, there's a bit of a ruckus going on. And in the distance, that ruckus is Sugata Sanshiro fighting someone in the street. So presumably months have passed, maybe even a year, by the kind of passing of the seasons, and I thought it was a brilliant framing device to show the passage of time in a really interesting visual way. So instantly you can just tell that Kurosawa really knew what he was doing, and that even back then, in his very first film, 1943, he was, I think, 33 years old, and you know, you could just really tell his visual flair and just where he was going to go in his career. Definitely you can tell, I think. And also the way he uses silence in the film to build tension, I think, is fantastic. And anyway, so Sugata Sanshiro, you know, he's got a lot of potential, he's very strong, but he needs to learn some humility, and so his master is kind of trying to teach him that. And there's kind of two main kind of fights that are kind of building up throughout the whole film. The first one is against this older kind of judo specialist, played by Takashi Shimura, who is one of my favourite actors, very prolific actor in the filmography of Akira Kurosawa. They worked together, I think, on over 20 films, and he is pretty much the main character in Seven Samurai and Ikiru, loads of great films. And again, Takashi Shimura is just fantastic. He also was in the original Godzilla movie, and he plays this older kind of judo specialist who's going to fight Sugata. And of course Sugata kind of he becomes friendly with the daughter of this guy, and so it gets a bit complicated, but there's this official fight between the two that's going to happen, and it deals with the emotions surrounding that and the humanities, you know, around fighting someone maybe to the death. And that's my only real criticism of the film, is that they make out this kind of judo fight to be like a real life and death situation, and that a few judo throws can kill you. Also a great use of slow motion in the film, and again you could really see the way he was playing with the camera and playing with, you know, the speeds of the film and everything, and awesome. Now the actual fight between him and Takeshi Shimura's character is fantastic, really again slow, the silence, the build up, but again when the judo throws start coming in, you don't really see a full shot of it. It kind of cuts, and then when you see the two opponents, they're like 30 feet away from each other, so it's kind of, I don't know whether it was intentional to kind of almost build up the judo art into some kind of mythical kind of thing within the film. It would be a kind of fantastical kind of thing and larger than life, or whether it was just, again, trying to make out that you could literally throw someone 30 feet across the mat. But that was the only thing that kind of interested me and made me think, what's he going for there? And then there's another fight between this guy who just wants to fight Sugata, you know, no official rules, just, you know, just man to man kind of thing. And they have this fight at the end of the film, in the best sequence of the film, which is on this mountainside, and it's kind of overcast and it's windy and the grass is blowing, this long grass, and I think some of the shots were sped up to make the grass look even more, make the wind look even more powerful, and that was a great little scene as well. I just thought that overall the film had a great amount of atmosphere and tension in certain scenes, and I thought the lead actor who played Sugata Sanshiro, who is Susumu Fujita, was really good as well. I really enjoyed his performance, and I enjoyed Takeshi Shimura's performance, and overall I just really loved the film. Great little film, not too long, and again really showed the promise for the future of Akira Kurosawa's career. Now the next film is in 1944, and it is The Most Beautiful. And this kind of has a lot of propaganda elements to it. You got to remember, this is when World War II was taking place, and this was kind of at the height of the end of the World War II in 1944 and 1945. And The film is unlike anything, well, not unlike anything, but, well, to me I guess it is unlike anything I've seen from Kurosawa so far, because I've seen mainly, you know, these samurai pictures, you know, the period pieces. And again, Sugata Senshiro is set in the 1800s, in the late 1800s actually. But this one, The Most Beautiful, is set in present day, and it features women in a factory, and they're in an optics factory. They're kind of creating lenses for presumably, you know, the soldiers of Japan and stuff, and it really focuses on these women a lot, and they're almost kids in a way. And the propaganda in it, you know, is really all about, you know, being taking one for the team, and just, you know, working for the army and putting your all into it no matter what. You know, these girls are getting sick, you know, and they're still going to work, and they're still just pumping out these lenses, and they're, you know, working overtime. And you know, it's not painted to be too miserable, but it's not painted to be very happy either. There are some moments of fun in the movie when they're playing volleyball and things like this, but you know, overall it's not a fantastic film. It's not one that really says too much. You know, apparently Kurosawa wanted all the women, the female actresses who were in the film, to actually kind of live in the dorm and really make them feel like they were a part of that kind of factory working environment. There's one character who stands out, and she kind of takes on a kind of leadership role of all the workers, even though she's a worker herself. And basically she ends up accidentally misplacing a lens which may or may not be faulty, and so she really takes the responsibility for it, you know, like really strongly. And even the workers of the factory are like, don't worry about it, seriously, you don't have to stay overtime to try and find this faulty lens, but she does anyway, and she stays all night, and she just works tirelessly to try and fix this error that she's kind of created, really. And there's a great scene where the camera is all the way back, and you see at the very end of a production line, the room's dark, just one light on where she's working, and she's singing this song to herself to try and get her through it. And then the camera cuts to the clock, and then back to her again, and the camera's ever so slightly closer, and then back to the clock again. You see the passage of time until after about 2 minutes, it really lengthily plays out. We see her in full close-up, falling asleep, you know, slowly singing this song. And I thought it was a really effective scene, and really got across a lot with the visuals, as well as the performance by the actress, who butted heads with Kurosawa a lot when they were making the film. She was very opinionated, and so was he, so they got into some arguments, and their opinions clashed. So naturally, the year after, they got married, which I find a really lovely story, because 1945, the year after he made that film, he got married to that actress, and presumably they fell in love, and there was an attraction there, and they were together for the rest of their lives. And I find that really sweet. I like hearing about that people kind of find love, find each other, and stay together for the rest of their lives, and that's a really nice thing. And that was kind of a little thing that was kind of interesting me about the film, just to see her, because I thought that was kind of interesting, just from a fan of Kurosawa, just seeing some more of his kind of personal life, but on screen kind of thing. That being said, the subtitles I had for this version were terrible, so I guess I got around, you know, say you watch a subtitled film and the subtitles give you 100% of what's being said. I'd say this is around 40–50%. A lot of it was lost in translation, so it was hard at times to kind of follow it. Takeshi Shimura also stars in this, but he's kind of only in it for about 3 or 4 minutes. He's kind of like a male, kind of, well, obviously he's male, but he's one of the few males in the film. One of the men who kind of runs the factory, and he's kind of behind the microphone like, we need to increase productivity and all this. But you know, he did okay with what he had, but he was a very minor role, unfortunately. But overall I really liked it. I wouldn't revisit it too many more times, but I really want to see it with really good subtitles. I know that Criterion released this on DVD, so I'm sure they've done a bang up job with the subtitles, but overall it was just okay, I think, just decent. Moving on, the third film, it is a sequel to Sugata Senshiro. It is Sugata Senshiro, or Zoku Sugata Senshiro, or Senshiro Sugata Part 2. And it's a sequel to the first film, obviously, but it's a sequel that Kurosawa didn't want to make. He was pressured into it by Toho, who you know, kind of eyed up the success of the first film, wanted to repeat that success, and Kurosawa wasn't really keen on it. And you can tell, I mean, it's not as inspired as the first one. There's some nice moments in there, but really this time Sugata Senshiro, I think it's hinted at, and again this was another one from the same source I got The Most Beautiful. The subtitles were not up to scratch, they really weren't, so it was hard to follow this one as well. But from what I gathered, it had been about 2 years, he'd gone off, he'd come back, but he kind of felt like he still hadn't improved himself as a person. And boxing was coming into the public eye, and basically he's pressured into having a judo versus boxing fight with an American. And again, this is a bit of a propaganda kind of thing creeping in again, where it's kind of against Americans and kind of painting them in a bad light, just as, you know, just these idiotic assholes, you know, and he eventually, it builds up to a fight between him and a ring against this boxer, and he kind of does it just out of principle. He doesn't really want to do it, and again, there's some good stuff in it. There's some good scenes. There's a scene where he's kind of alone in the dojo, kind of with one single light, and he's just trying to, you know, shadow dance the thing, and I thought that was a really cool scene. The lighting was great. And this, again, the same as the first film basically, which is why it's kind of not as good, because it really follows the same template. But there's the official fight with the boxer, and then there's a second fight with one of the brothers of the guy that he fought at the end of the first film. And he wants revenge, and he's got another brother with him, and they're crazy, and they just want to, you know, kill him basically. And so it leads to another fight on a mountainside, but this time in snow, and it was real snow, and apparently the actor had to kind of jump off, you know, out of shot every time they stopped rolling, because his feet were getting frozen, because he takes his sandals off, and I don't know why they put that into the film, because it must have been horrible for what's his name, Susumu Fujita, to actually do that, because that scene, you could tell it was real snow and it looked freezing, but it wasn't as effective as the fight at the end of the first film. I think the tension, the kind of silent parts where not much is happening and it's building up the tension, were dragged out just a little too long. And I only say that because Kurosawa would literally go on to perfect the art of silent tension building, in my opinion. I think he's fantastic at doing that on screen. But I think with this one, it was milked just a little bit too long and kind of undercut some of the tension just a little bit, as well as I think the guy that Sugata Senshiro was fighting was kind of, as he was like, you know, slowly advancing, he's kind of like, ah! And he's just screeching the whole time, and it was kind of offsetting the tension a little bit. It was kind of a bit more annoying, but what I really enjoyed was the very last scene inside a tent, and I won't spoil anything about it, but it really reminded me also of almost like a Hitchcock kind of thriller. It was just a really cool moment of tension, like really well done. But then the ending, there's a line of dialogue, and again, I think it was lost in translation on my version, so I didn't quite get the ending, but I enjoyed it overall. A lot more than I thought I would, but nothing compared to the first film, and it's just okay. Finally, 1945. Did I say what year the Sugata Senshiro Part 2 came out? It was 1945. And then also in 1945, Kurosawa made a film called The Men Who Tread on the Tiger's Tail. And this film was awesome. It was only 59 minutes long, and it was actually banned when it first came out because of, I guess, the post-war kind of thing. I'm not quite sure. You know, I think Americans had to kind of approve the film, and then there's kind of, I don't know, there was issues with it, and it wasn't released until 1952, but it was made in 1945, and it's a fantastic little film. I wish it was 2 hours longer, I really do, and it really reminded me of Seven Samurai. You have these 7 characters, who, one of them is kind of this lord, and he had a brother who's also a lord, and they've kind of fallen out, and there's been this big thing, so he's left, and this lord is trying to kind of cross these borders and stuff, and these 6 people are helping him, and they're all disguised as priests when they're more like warriors and protectors. And then this porter, this guy who's kind of showing them the way, and he's just like, reminds me of Toshiro Mifune in Seven Samurai, just this almost like with the volume turned even more up, you know, just this crazy guy who's always laughing and just like jumping around. He's really animated, his face is like a cartoon. I could see people getting put off by it, but I actually really enjoyed his character and found him really funny. And he slowly realizes that they're these people who are transporting this really important lord who everyone is after. And it's a very simple film. It's based off a play, and you know, it's all set within these woods and this border crossing. And I honestly, I thought it was real. The opening shot I thought was brilliant. It just looked great vista of like these mountains in the background. I read it was all on set mostly. A few shots weren't, but most of it was on set, and I thought, oh, amazing set design, absolutely fantastic. And just the little details like the grass blowing, it made it seem real, just awesome. But yeah, it really reminded me of Seven Samurai, the 7 characters off on this, you know, little quest, which again, we just get a small slice of it. And also the guy from Sugata Senshiro, Susumu Fujita, he plays a prominent character in this, in the second half of the film. And I love the tension in this film, I love the comedy in the film, I love the characters, and Takeshi Shimoda is also one of the 7. But all the characters are great, and I really wish we could have had more hours with them. And the ending is a bit ambiguous, so I really wish it had been a longer film, but for me, I think it's definitely Kurosawa's first, not masterpiece quite, because it hasn't got the time to breathe and become a masterpiece, but I think it's Kurosawa's first classic. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to watch it again and again. Luckily the subtitles were on point for this one, but yeah, awesome film. Really enjoyed it. Really surprised me, and a lot happened within an hour without really happening. And so yeah, I highly recommend The Men Who Tread on the Tiger's Tail. Awesome film. And there you go. those are my 4 reviews of Kurosawa's first 4 films. I hope you enjoyed this video, and there's more to come with Ryan on Friday, a guest on Saturday, and a first watch on Sunday. So thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed the video. Go watch a load of Akira Kurosawa movies, and I'll see you next time.